It could be K-pop, or they might perform like a K-pop song.
You could have like a singer like singing for like 5 minutes, and then you're like dancing.
Hey guys.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Sizzle. I am your host Jade.
And I'm John. And what are we talking about?
Today we're going to be talking about weddings, getting married in Korea.
I know that one very well. I am married. I've been married for almost 3 years now, and I dated my wife for like 10 years.
Wow.
Total.
In Korea?
In Korea and outside of Korea as well. I met her actually in the US, and we continued. So getting married in Korea, that was one of the questions in one of the questionnaires, and we got some feedback from you guys, and you guys want to know what's it like being married, or what is the process like being married in Korea. Have you ever been to a Korean wedding?
I've been to so many, especially these days. I'm getting the age where all of my friends are getting married, so I've been to a lot this last year. Actually.
What's the difference between an American one and a Korean one?
American weddings are very long, usually all day, and you know, you have the reception, and then you meet all their family and things like that. But in Korea, they're very short. They're about maybe 30 minutes to an hour.
Maybe 2 hours max.
Max. And that's if someone's cousin comes and sings, and then they do a little dance. But it's like at a wedding hall, and it's like the setup is the same, but then after the wedding, you eat usually at like a buffet.
Not even after. I've been to weddings during Corona. Because people weren't allowed in the wedding hall, so they had the wedding like upstairs in the dining room. So the wedding was like filmed, and then everyone was upstairs, like the less important people
watching it.
Wow. While eating. So they were serving the course. It was to be honest, it depends on the couple if they want to have a buffet style, or if they want to have a course. I've been to all kinds, and in this specific one,
I've never been to a course.
A course one's pretty nice. They give you two options, like either vegetarian or regular, and they tell you like, here's what they're gonna serve. But in this case, people were just coming out with the food, so you had no choice. Wow. You were just, after you're finished, they would take the plate and they would give you back. But anyways, they have many different options, but one of them is definitely the length of the whole thing.
I was very shocked because I was so ready. My first Korean wedding, I was like, okay. So, another thing. So I brought my gift. You don't give gifts at Korean weddings. You give money.
I mean, gifts are okay.
They're okay.
If you are a very good friend.
Right,
of that
but
person.
like...
was your friend foreigner? Or?
She was Korean.
Okay.
We had worked together. And so we were close, and I had brought her, like it's really fancy like wine, like a really expensive one. And I had brought it to there's like a table in front of the wedding hall that is usually like their uncle or brother who gets the money from like all of the gifts from the guests. So I brought it to him, and he's like, what?
He didn't know what to do.
He didn't know what to do. And I'm looking at him, he's looking at me, and I'm just like, somewhere. And then he's like, no.
He said no?
He was like, yeah, but then I had another Korean friend, and they're like, oh, like, you don't usually give it. And I was like, okay, I'll just give it to her personally.
Oh, I had no idea, actually, because that never happened.
Really?
Yeah, I've never encountered that situation.
He was like, he didn't know if he should take it or not. So then I was like, oh, okay, I'm not going to give it to you. Oh. And I gave it to her personally later. She was happy about it, but I just didn't know the culture of usually you give like money.
And usually the money, you put it in an envelope, and it's usually Oman won. Yeah. So $50, or in USD is about $40 minimum. That pretty much pays for your dinner or your meal. But yeah, the the cost of having a wedding in Korea is a lot cheaper than in the US, but it helps with paying for the wedding, and because, you know, buffets do add up.
Yes.
Because they ask you how many people will come, and usually when they have the buffet, it's at a wedding hall. And if you guys don't know what a wedding hall is, it's a huge building with like, I don't know, 6 floors to 10 floors of just wedding
rooms
venues and buffet halls. So pretty much, like Jade said, after the wedding, usually you go to the cafeteria area, and it can be a mix. And this is what is crazy to me, is it's a mix of parties.
Yeah.
So whoever you're sitting next to might not be going to the same wedding as you.
Yeah, it's like sometimes it's just like usually 2 or 3 weddings like after
at the same time.
Yeah, after they end, they are in the same wedding hall. Which one of the first weddings I went to, I was very confused. So I was just sitting there, and I was like, and I've had my gift, and I'm eating, and then I'm like, I don't know who's who.
Yeah,
and then
you don't know anyone.
Because Korean couples usually usually they get married in the traditional suit and
the
white
hanbok?
dress. Oh, white dress.
Oh,
first.
white dress. Oh, yes.
And then at the reception, they change into the hanbok and things. So when they came, I was like, oh, okay, I'm at the right place. and then I gave her the gift and talked to her a bit. And so it's very different because they come and they say hi, thank you for coming.
Yes.
But at American wedding, you know, everyone's always together the whole time. You know, everyone goes to the wedding together. We leave and go to the reception together. You're never really, and like you have seating charts and like everything's very organized, and you never feel separated.
That's a good point. It's very organized in the U.S. because you know everyone that's coming.
Yes.
In Korea, you might not know everyone who's coming, and it's kind of randomly. Usually the most important people have seating, but after that it's just whoever shows up will sit down.
Cousins come, or maybe not, or things like that.
I've seen people who showed up in hiking gear standing in the back, and usually there's a lot of people. There's like 200 people. There was 200 people plus at my wedding, and I knew no one. I just knew like 10 people that I invited, my friends closely. So that was very strange to me as well. They don't really do the dancing at the reception.
Not the reception. Maybe
not at
in
the
the
reception.
wedding. Maybe in the wedding.
Yes, at the wedding we had like pretty much like a performance. So like my wife's a teacher, so her students like sang a song for us, and it could be K-pop. Or they might perform like a K-pop song.
You could have like a singer like singing for like 5 minutes, and then you're like dancing, slow dancing, or like sometimes they'll have actual dancers perform. Like
so either the groom or the bride will do like a song or performance. It's crazy. Like I didn't do that at my wedding, but I'm just saying like. And
if you go to like an artist's wedding, like a producer or something, it's always someone famous comes through, and you're like, oh, okay. It's so interesting.
Yeah, it's totally, it's mind blowing. It's a lot. Sometimes it's kind of boring because it's if the couple is just like a normal, then you're sitting there for 30 minutes. But if that couple is very outgoing or in the community or whatever, it's mind-blowing because there's a lot of stuff going on in a short period of time.
And then like you take pictures at the chapel, like where they get married at, like where the pulpit and everything is. They take pictures afterwards, and there's like a order to it. So it's like wife's family, and then husband's family, and then like.
Oh, it's not like that in the U.S.?
No, we don't take pictures at the wedding hall.
They don't?
Not with your whole family together.
Oh, they don't? I had no idea.
Really?
I haven't been to one.
Oh, really?
Sure.
Well,
no,
after,
I mean like.
So you get.
What do you mean by after? Like.
So like I now pronounce you husband and wife. They kiss and they go down the hall out. Then in front of the church or whatever, maybe you might take a couple pictures, but it's not like a whole thing with the photographer saying, okay, move this way.
I think because you can't really go outside because it's on the street and then it's a building. It's not as nice. I think that's why you're not doing it in front of a church.
But it's also like.
Although they do. So depending on some.
That's true. Yeah, I've seen some here that are at like churches, but more than those kind of like official pictures with all of the family, people want like the natural pictures.
I agree.
I agree. Like toasting or someone dancing at the reception, like things like that is like more what like Americans would want because they're like memories rather than Koreans like, okay, this is your school portrait.
You're totally right. And when I was getting married, that's what it felt like. Like you are standing in line for your class picture, and the photographer tells you, okay, next. Put your hand like this. Put your head like this. I was like,
and one wedding I had came late, and I was trying to just like wave to him, but everything was so official, he couldn't even do anything but listen to the photographer, and like everyone behind him is the same way, and I was like, okay, I'll just talk to you later.
That I think in U.S. weddings, at least, the couples want to show themselves, like their personalities. So they want to take pictures that are comfortable, more natural, in a natural environment.
I feel like the whole stage is more casual. Because you're with your most close friends and family, you feel more comfortable.
I agree.
But I feel like in Korean setting, it's like, this is my formal, it's my formal wedding. I'm introducing my family and friends to my wife's family and friends, like things, you know what I mean?
I actually think that it is business.
Yeah, it's more than it's like
it's more than just
fun.
Family and family. I think like that's why they dress up, and it's kind of like, if you are in the upper echelon, or like, you know, that in terms of in society, like how much money or what your parents do, whatever, that can be like, that's might be the reason. It's like whatever you guys see in the dramas, it's kind of like that.
Yeah, and I'm really shocked, like, because in like dramas, I feel like they don't really show that part of it.
Yeah.
Or like you watch a Korean movie, they show like, oh, we got married and let's show you the pictures, but they don't show you like how official everything is.
Yeah, that's true. That's why you have us, because we'll give you the details. What's funny is eating the cake. I ate the cake during my ceremony, not after.
Yeah.
So they had the cake on the side for us, and then while we were getting married, I don't know if this is like every wedding, but they're like, the pastor's like, okay, now we're gonna cut the cake, or the MC. And then when I was confused, I'm like, why am I like on stage? I had no idea, because we don't really practice, you know. So I was like, okay. So I cut the cake, and then we didn't even eat it.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, I was like,
they just cut it. I don't understand.
When I went, I think it was the same thing. They just cut the cake, and then they didn't eat it, and then we.
I don't understand, because I think maybe it's an act of doing something together for the first time. But I wanted to eat it.
In America, we at the reception, after you change, that's the first thing that you do.
Yeah.
You come in, and then you cut the cake together, and then everyone can eat the cake. So
so that's totally different order.
It was very
I was so confused during the wedding. They kind of tell you the day before like what's gonna happen, but what I did was like, I did a little dance while walking out when they kind of announce to everyone, because I don't want to just walk, you know, it's so boring, you know, and I wanted to do something fun that's more my style and show my individuality. So I did a little bit kind of like dance, not performance, just a little thing while I was walking to the front. And after that, I had no idea what was going to happen. I really didn't, because my Korean was not that good, and they don't really tell you like exactly what. Well, I mean, they might have told my wife, but I wasn't paying attention. And then I just kind of went with the flow. And during the wedding, they had like confetti, like come down, and I was like covered in confetti. It was just like over the top everything. And this was before walking out. When you walk out, there's also more confetti.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Wow. So let us know if you guys ever been to a Korean wedding. Which parts of the wedding is kind of weird or different than where you're from. Interested in actually getting married or seriously getting married in Korea? Make sure you guys stay tuned for part 2, where I break down what you need paperwork wise.
And how the whole thing
and how the
goes.
thing works. And what visa, that's like the main thing too.
Important.
Yeah. So we'll see you guys in the next video. Annyeong!